Welcome back, everybody, to Embrace the Squiggle. Today, you have Ashley and I. We have some fantastic topics that need to be talked about. So, I'm going to toss it over to Ashley because she texted me the other day, and I thought, this is it. Like, we have to, we're going to spend the whole episode, I think, talking about this very topic. So, I'm going to toss it over to you, Ash, and let's get started.
Thank you. We have so many topics that we find to be so important that we want to share with all of our squigglers. But this one in particular is something that Colleen and I have talked about together for years. I was listening to a podcast the other day, and a woman came on and was sharing her corporate journey into leadership. And as she was talking and sharing her story, she kind of exclaimed, "I haven't had lunch in like 20 years." Um, and she was sharing that with pride, and I was horrified. And so, for those of you who are new to listening to Colleen and I and Embrace the Squiggle, or new to our journeys, something that Colleen has coined that I have championed and applauded for years is real leaders, good leaders, eat lunch.
Yes, 100%.
And the reason that is important is when you really look at it outside of just the act of eating lunch, it's about taking a break. It's about showing your team that it is okay to step away, to decompress, to nourish your body, to have some type of rest, to give your brain a break. That leadership is not about driving hard until you kill yourself. And I think that there are so many leaders we have experienced and seen that live to that. I never eat lunch and I never take a break and I always have my computer with me. And we are on a mission to break that. So that's what we're talking about today, damn it.
Oh my god, Ashley, like, every time someone says to me and says it with pride, as you said, like that woman on the podcast, folks say this with pride, they wear it like it's a badge of honor. "I don't stop for lunch. I have so much work to do. I'm so busy." And, like, busy equals important, or busy equals I'm doing great things. And, this summer I actually hired an intern, and I'm
Oh,
so excited. Rachel is fantastic. But what I have Rachel doing is not what I've had interns in the past do. Like, a lot of times my interns in the past have been like, "Oh, we'll help you with marketing, or I'll help you with PowerPoint slides, or, we'll show up at events with you and help you." No, no, no. Rachel this summer is diving into the neuroscience of burnout, and why, from a neuroscience standpoint, from a medical standpoint, it is important for you to be taking breaks. It is important for you to be taking lunch. Because if you just look at neuroscience, like, forget about work, forget about all the other things. Neuroscience tells us the average person can only concentrate for 20 minutes without needing a break.
this
20
is
minutes,
brilliant.
right? 20 minutes is only as far as the average person can have their brain concentrate. So the folks who sit there and tell me that they can sit on their computer for 8 hours straight without taking a break, without taking a break for food, without taking a lunch break, without stepping away, chained to their chair for 8 hours, it's total bullshit. 100% bullshit. Like, there
Yep.
is nobody who can do that. And I think of leaders that I've coached, and I think of one in particular who I've coached now for about 4 years. She is a super big job, right? She has hundreds and hundreds of people who report up through her.
Wow.
And starting about 2 years ago, I finally got her in between meetings to turn around in her desk and play a song on her phone. Just a 3-minute song, 4-minute song. Yeah, I get if you have these high level jobs, it's not like you can say, "Oh, you know what? I'm going to take a half hour break between every meeting." I get that that's not realistic,
Yeah.
but just turning around and playing a song and not looking at your computer screen, she said what a difference it had made. All of a sudden, she finds that she is, you know, showing up better for meetings. She's better to articulate herself. She feels better at the end of the day. She's not as exhausted at the end of the day because her brain has had those small periods of rest.
Really great advice, by the
Yeah,
way. That's the first time I've heard that advice. So that's brilliant. I appreciate that and feel like I'm gonna that's like my own personal takeaway
right.
today.
Well, and I will totally say I stole this from a coach who I worked with, when my daughter was first born. When I first went back to work, I was really struggling with the motherhood, newborn. I had a kid who, would not take a bottle. So I went back to work when she was 4 months old, and she just flat out refused the bottle, right? Would not eat until I got home.
Oh,
It was so, like, it was gut-wrenching. It's, all the mom guilt thing, it was all the stuff.
right.
So I was struggling, and so I found a coach who I had met who really talked about helping moms return to work, right? That was her niche. And one of the things she taught me was every time that I went to the bathroom was to bring my, back then, iPod, and to play a song, and to not leave the bathroom till the song was over. And that as a mom, like, that was now my mini break. Like, that was because you're a mom as well, like, during those early years, you feel like you feel like getting out of the car and standing before you open the car door for your kid feels like a break. Like, there's a comedian,
Yes.
Brian Regan, who talks about walking around the car to let his kid out as, like, the biggest break that he gets these days. And I think, yeah, that's it. So, I stole it from her, and I use that advice often because if you do not give your brain a chance to reset, it's never going to be firing on all cylinders.
No. No, and I think there's this other portion that we don't talk about enough outside of how it impacts ourselves, and this is something I was very guilty of, and it it took a while for me to break those habits, and I feel like there are so many people that that reported into me that I want to go back and apologize to because I was this leader and I was the toxic person who did not take lunch. I didn't take breaks. I had my computer with me on vacations. I was talking to attorneys next to a pool. I have my eyes on my son who's swimming, right? And the bar is right over there. I could have a margarita, but I'm talking to attorneys instead, right? On the phone. And sick, so sick with the flu, with my computer on my lap in bed. And feeling like one, that was the only way for me to develop my career was if I was doing these things because I had to prove I was, in sickness and
Superhuman.
health.
Right.
Yeah, that I could do anything. And I also felt like, oh, I don't want to let the team down. I don't want to let people down. I don't want to let myself down. And yet, I would be the person telling my team, go take a break, go eat lunch. It's fine, take the day off. But I was not setting that example. And we all know that our actions speak louder than our words. So I just looked like a mouthpiece and I looked ridiculous because all the things that I was telling my team they should do to stay healthy, I didn't do a single one of them. And I will tell you, I had an employee put that in their review on their self in the section around how I could support them better was that they see that all of the things that I'm telling the team to do to be healthy, that I don't do any of those things, and it can be confusing.
Wow.
And that was incredible feedback and
And
very
brave.
eye-opening, very
Very
brave.
brave. Because I don't
Yes.
know that I would ever have said that to a manager of mine. I don't know that I would have had that chutzpah, right? Or that confidence to
Yeah.
say, "Hey, Ash, you tell me to take my breaks, you tell me to take time off, but you don't do it." So good for them.
Yeah. And it was very eye-opening. So when you started the Leaders Eat Lunch, um, like movement, I applaud it so greatly because we're not talking enough about our actions as leaders and how they contribute to the culture of our organization, not just our team, but broadly as leaders of this whole organization. And we're wearing this as a badge of pride of, I got all of these things done while I had the flu. Well, no, we're actually breeding illness now instead because your entire team has decided that they can't just, get rest when they're sick.
And it's such a funny thing, right? Because, like you said, you would encourage your team to do this. So
Yeah.
often when I'm coaching a leader who struggles with this and will say to me, right, I can't, I have to be there. I have to be there, right? I have to be at all those meetings. I'll look at their calendar with them and it's solid, right? Like there's not a 15-minute break in a day. And I'll say, okay, like, do you really have to be there? And they'll say, yes, 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 yes. And I'll say, okay, what happens when you're not there? And I always tell folks, I am grateful that I learned this very early in my career. I was only 25 at the time, and I had my appendix out. So, emergent, right? And your appendix does not it doesn't decide when it's coming out. It was, I remember it was, it was because we were watching the TV show ER. It was my roommate and I were in ours in my 20s, and the minute it ended, I was like, "Okay," we got up, we went to bed, I rolled over onto my stomach, and I screamed because it hurt so bad, and my roommate had said earlier in the day, like, "Do you think it's your appendix?" Because I wasn't feeling well, and I was like, "No, no, not my appendix." So, off to the hospital I go. Right, it's 11 o'clock at night because ER just ended. We get there. I leave a voicemail for my boss at about 3 in the morning when they say, "Yep, your appendix is coming out." It's a Thursday. I leave my boss a voicemail that says, "I won't be in Friday, but I'll be there Monday," because I had that boss. I had that boss who stayed late every day, got in early every day, never took vacation, was always, always on. And so I'm thinking, I can just, right, it's just an appendix. Take my appendix out. I'll be back on Monday. Because the surgeon said to me I'd be in the hospital 2 days and probably need a couple more days recovery. So to me, sure, Monday. Yeah, not the case. Well, 1, they couldn't find my appendix, which was really fun. This is pre them doing all the testing they can
Great.
do now. So I have like this giant scar because they had to go find it,
Oh,
which meant then I couldn't walk. So now I'm gonna be out for 2 weeks. I leave a voicemail for her. Right, I don't hear anything, which is fine. I just thought, whatever, right? I knew she was a very, very, very busy, important woman. Fast forward, I call on Friday and call the HR person and say, "Can my roommate come get my check?" Because I'm old enough that our paychecks were actual checks
oh, yeah.
that you had to get and deposit. And I said,
Yep.
"Can my roommate come get my check?" And he was like, "What do you mean?" I'm like, "I've been out on sick leave all week because I had my appendix out and HR had no idea." And I said, "Oh, did my boss not tell you?" And he said, "No, I'll go check in with her." Went to check in on her. She hadn't gotten the voicemail. So she had covered her red light on her phone with a sticky note because she got too many voicemails and was overwhelmed. So she didn't answer them until once a week. And she had been out that Friday, so she wasn't checking them till the end of the day on Friday. I'm like, I was gone for a week and nobody noticed,
Wow. Wow.
right? And
I have
everybody
so many feelings
Oh,
about
I
this.
had so many feelings about it. I still to this day have feelings about it. And when I questioned it, everybody was like, "Oh, well, I was someone who I helped people find jobs." And everyone was like, "Oh, we just figured you're out in the community. Like you're so responsible." Like they just assumed I was doing my job. When nobody saw me, that they just assumed I was out doing my job.
Yeah.
Right? No, nobody thought strange of it. Great. So fast forward, I come back 2 weeks later because I couldn't walk and it was pre being able to do remote work at all, right? I had to be at my computer to get access to my computer. And I remember saying, "So what did I miss?" And the answer across the board was nothing. What did I miss at the like 18 meetings that I usually have to go to every week? The answer, not much. So I decided not to show up at those meetings anymore.
Yeah.
And you know what? It was fine. Every once in a while, someone would come back to me and say, "Hey, at the blah, blah, blah meeting, we talked about you. Like, here's the info you need." But I realized I really wasn't that important. I didn't need to be at all these places that I thought I had to be. And I wish leaders could learn that quickly, like, could learn that early in their careers, to learn that to part of it is trusting that other people can do the work, right? Trusting
Yes.
that you've delegated the work to the people who can do it, trusting other people to make the decision
Yes.
and, right, at that same time, knowing that if something comes up, trusting that they'll tell you and that you can handle it without having to have been at the 932 meetings.
Yes. And I think there's also something internally, that trust is a huge component of that. And also knowing that you and I talk about this all the time. There are outside of a few very specific life-saving jobs that do exist, 90% of people out there are not doing jobs that will impact somebody's ability to live and thrive. So, when we're delegating to people, trusting that if a mistake is made, we can fix it,
Mhm.
let them have those mistakes. But I feel like there is also something internally with people around the need to know everything.
Yes.
So
Yes,
people are in those
obsessively.
meetings because they're nosy. It's not just because I'm so important and I have to be there. It's also, I need to know everything that's going on. It's this compulsive need to hear all this information. You need to realize it's causing you overwhelm.
Yes. And I think sometimes it's not even like nosiness, it's that false sense of I'm important, right? They can't do
Yes.
this without me. And
Yes.
if you're running a company in the mindset of they can't do this without me, how are you ever going to grow?
Right.
Right?
Because there's only one you.
Right. CEOs of billion-dollar companies do not cannot be involved in every decision. You have
Right.
to be willing to let others make those decisions. I there's a bank that I've worked with for a while now, and I I've done trainings with them for years on Clifton Strengths and right, just a whole bunch of fun things. But last week I was working with their HR team, their people and culture team. And we were just doing some kind of fun workshops about, they've acquired a whole bunch of other companies. So they've grown exponentially in the last 2 years. And I started down my remember great leaders eat lunch, great leaders take time off, great leaders model the behaviors that they want their employees to have. And was going down that path for HR because I said it's really important for HR to do this, for the people and
Yeah.
culture, because even if you consider yourself low on the totem pole right, or low, if you consider yourself not as important as, from a title perspective, people look to HR for what is acceptable in a company, right? That's
Yep.
that's who they glance to. And
Yeah.
their VP, I loved it because or chief people officer, something like that, whatever, their leader of that team said, "Oh, yes, 100%." She said, when she had just come back from a Mediterranean cruise and
Ooh.
said, "Oh," so I said, "Oh, great. Like, I hope you didn't check your email on it." She said, "Absolutely not. I did not. I didn't have access to." She was like, "One, and I'm on a cruise ship in the Mediterranean. There's no way like a financial institution is going to let me have access to my email on like
Oh.
public Wi-Fi on a cruise ship, halfway around the
Fair,
world."
fair.
So, that wasn't happening. She said, but when she left, somebody on the leadership team said to her, "Don't worry, I'll only call you if the bank burns down or if the bank's on fire." And she should, without missing a beat, responded right away and said, "No, don't even. Like, what am I? Like, I'm not the fire department. I can't help. Like, there's no need to tell me that. There's no need to ruin my vacation knowing that the bank burned down. I can find out about it when I get back in a week." And
Yeah.
I thought, I love this. I love
Yes.
that
Good for her.
they're right, a C-suite level person at this bank, jokingly said, "We'll only call you if the bank burns down." And she was like, "Not even, not even. Like, there's nothing I can do. Like, why are you calling me? Call 911. The fire department's going to deal with that. Legal, Mike might have to deal with it from insurance." She's like, "But me? No." She's like, "I have a team who can handle any of the people piece that has to happen."
Yeah. Have you coached any organizations, on this topic where you've had significant pushback?
Oh, absolutely. And even if I don't have pushback, 'cause 'cause people will agree, right? Every leader will say, "Well, of course people should take lunch." Right?
Ah,
Our
yes.
HR
You get the nod
policy,
and
right,
smile,
right.
yeah.
Oh, absolutely, right? We all get a half-hour lunch break, right? Or we get an hour lunch break, like, whatever it is. Of course that's important. And so I'll say, "Okay, if you go to look at somebody's calendar," because now we all can see each other's calendars in most organizations, right? So
Yeah.
You go look at my Google Calendar and you see Monday through Friday, 12 to 1, I have blocked off for lunch because we work at a company where I get 1 hour lunch break. And you need to meet with me that day and you don't see any other time that works for you. What are you going to do? You
You're
steal
putting it
that
in there.
lunch because
Mhm.
lunch is never seen as important. And
Right.
so, even if companies will say, yeah, in theory that works, in practice they don't. And getting folks to really realize, I mean, it's also my idea. So, even just not even just lunch, I'm a huge fan of 45-minute meetings instead of an hour
Yes.
because if I'm like, I don't know where, like, what point in time everybody decided that every meeting was an hour. Because all we do is grow the agendas or people keep talking because they know they have an hour, even when they shouldn't, right? We've all been in that meeting where you're like, oh my God, shut up, Joe. Right. Like,
Yes.
we've
Yes.
already made a decision. You don't need to keep talking. We don't all need to be here. Or at the end of the,
Yes.
like, the meeting's done and somebody says, hey, does anyone have anything else they want to talk about? We have 10 minutes. And all of a sudden
Oh,
you're like, Steve, stop talking. Don't tell us. Like, we don't need to hear it, Steve. Uh,
yes. I
and
agree.
so to me, all meetings should be 45 or 50 minutes. It gives you that 10 or 15 minutes to get a bio break, right? Go to the bathroom, get a cup of coffee. Go, literally, when I worked my last job, one of my employees started doing this, and a lot of us would go with her when we could. But at 10 minutes before the hour, she'd get up, walk out the back door of the building, take a lap around the building, and come back in.
I started doing that. I started doing that for this
Right?
same thing, but there's also been so many times, to your point, where because it was always back to back hour long or even 30 minutes in between the 2 hour long meetings, like every time slot was full, to the point where if we wrapped at 10:58 a.m. and I have an 11, you're seeing me literally jog to refill my water and try and do a bio break in the minute and 30 seconds time I have before the next meeting starts, because I'm also somebody who takes time very seriously, and that's my number one way of showing respect for someone else is by being on time. Time is valuable. But like I'm jogging for water because I haven't had water in hours because it's been back to back. And it got to the point, one, burnout, but also I'm like, I can't live like this.
No. No, and when I really push back on folks and when I've worked with teams in particular, it's great when a team because the peer pressure of the team to do it is good. So when I've worked with the team and said, for 1 week, just 1 week, try it, please.
Yeah.
45-minute meetings instead of an hour. Take every meeting on your schedule, make it 45 minutes, and give yourself that 15-minute break. And for at least 5 minutes of that 15-minute break is not staring at your computer screen. So even if it is bathroom, water, walk around the building, let me know how much more productive you feel at the end of that week. How much
Yeah.
more did you get done? How much more brain power did you have?
Yeah.
Because I guarantee you actually had more. And this is why we go back to my intern this summer. This is why I have her pulling this research together because neuroscience will show us. It shows that if you're struggling with something or thinking about like writing a report. So now when I write big reports, or I had two proposals I submitted this week, both were like 10-page proposals.
Wow.
I
Yeah.
set my timer for 25 minutes, and when that timer goes off, I either have to go down my office is on the second floor, so I either have to go downstairs, get a water, go step outside, go to the mailbox, rotate laundry, something that isn't there, and then I come back and do 25 more minutes. And when I do that, I get through those projects so much faster than if I didn't take those breaks.
Yeah.
Our brains work better. And the whole, like, not eating lunch is absolutely ridiculous because that's one of the other pieces I have her looking at is, right, the neuroscience of food around this. If you don't eat, right, when we think about getting hangry,
Yes.
I get hangry.
I'm a hangry person.
Me too. I have a kid who is super hangry, right? And at a young age, realize that just simply like 3 sips of a glass of juice or some lemonade, like 3 sips of something that actually has calories would change her. her ability to function as a human so quickly. And you
Yeah.
think of if that little bit could change, if you go from, all day without eating food, your brain isn't firing on all levels. If you
Yeah.
want to be that high level CEO, how can you do that if your brain isn't functioning well?
Right.
So
And
take those
and
breaks.
becoming and becoming a high level CEO, what do you want your legacy to be? Do you want it to be that at the end of your career, when employees that worked for your organization, they look back and they say, "Wow, I was burned out. I was stressed. I was scared. I thought I had a target on my back. I couldn't speak openly. We didn't get to take vacation, even though it was, offered in our handbook and in our offer letters." Or do you want to be known as someone who created a culture of self awareness? Of nourishing ourselves and our careers through a culture of that self-awareness. And so as leaders, it's selfish. It's around, okay, I need to eat to nourish myself and to be the best leader I can be. I need to take those breaks and I need to be, mentally there and giving my all. And to be able to do that, I need that time. And it's also, as a leader, what you are communicating through your actions and the culture that you're building within your smaller team and the organization as a whole. So it just goes to show the responsibility that you have to yourself and to all of the people around you. And a simple action like taking a break or eating lunch communicates that to such a high degree.
Yeah, right. Who doesn't want to end their career and have everybody show up for their goodbye party saying, "We're going to miss you because you have been such a great leader." And not your employees, yeah, money is important. Yes, right? So if people are getting bonuses or stuff like that, sure, it's important. But people want to work for somebody who it appears that they genuinely care about them. Right,
Yes,
that who
yes,
appears that they genuinely care about them as a person, about, how they function in the world, about whether or not they get to move up in their jobs, right? That caring piece goes a long way, right? Gallup, their studies talked about trust, compassion, stability, and hope are the things folks want from their leader. Right, and what better way to show trust by saying, "I'm gonna take my lunch. You all should take your lunch because I trust that this work is still gonna get done." Right? Compassion,
yes,
we're gonna take our lunch because it's important for us all to actually eat, right?
yes,
You know,
yes.
all of
And we
those
want to
pieces.
inspire, right?
Right.
We want our actions to inspire people to say, "You were such a great leader and you taught us all of these things. You have inspired my leadership style." And inspiring someone's leadership style isn't just the ladder climbing portion. It's just how you lead others in the world and how, that's that the pay it forward, right?
Yes.
It's a way of paying it forward.
I love it. Ashley, this has been such a great conversation. We need to do more of these kind of conversations
Yes.
because I feel like we have 100 topics that we can touch on. So I don't know, folks, stay tuned. I think you're going to hear from Ashley and I a bit more and maybe some new things popping up towards the end of the summer.
I love new things.
Me too. Well, everybody have a great day, and we hope this week you get to squiggle into something better.